I did get an offer for a job at the end of that summer. Actually, it was much later than I ever thought people were offering jobs, and I got a call. Hi dancers, Jess here. Welcome back to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel. This episode is about how to have an intentional summer intensive. I love to talk about summer intensive preparations, both with my one-on-one coaching clients and also here on YouTube and Instagram and all those fun places, because there's so much to be gained from a summer intensive experience. And I think how we go into it makes a huge difference. And I also know from my own summer intensive experiences that it can be very stressful going into them. I mean, even if it's not super stressful, there are usually some nerves involved. There's some level of fear factor if you've never been there before. It's always something new and something to consider how it's impacting your dancing potentially and all of that. One thing I will say is whatever your nerves are about the dancing itself, make sure your intention for summer intensive is to have a lot of fun. Even when I was at summer intensives where the dancing itself felt more stressful, I always had a really great time socially, and I met a lot of incredible dancers who I stayed connected with over the years, and then some of them I ran into at company auditions later on. So, be a nice dancer to those around you, be a good person, make sure that you're making friends and connections and being kind to one another, whatever the situation. That just helps everybody feel better too. So even if others are feeling stressed out or uncertain, that will help them as well. So the highest stakes summer intensive experience for me personally was when I went to Orlando Ballet after my senior year of college. During company auditions that year, Orlando was one that invited me to the intensive with a scholarship and said, "We'll be considering you for a second company position." I was really bad. I was just not good at managing my mindset at that time. If you followed The Whole Dancer for a while, you might know that my whole dance journey was riddled with lots of struggle around food and body image. It put a cloud on my entire dance experience. And then being at this intensive where I had the prospect of a job being held over my head, which I have to say, I find it hard. I wish that this was not still such a common practice, because it's a lot of pressure. They don't give you information about how many people they're considering or how many positions are open or any of that. So it's just a lot to expect someone to come and perform at their highest level for the course of a summer intensive in order to maybe get a second company job. So I was incredibly stressed by this situation and this prospect, and I really didn't cope with it well. And then the food and body stuff was just exceptionally out of whack, and that made it all much more challenging. I didn't stay with other dancers. I stayed at like an Airbnb sort of situation, though Airbnb was not a thing at the time. So I think we found this house on Craigslist where it was two young women who had one room available. So I was renting at a house for this period of time in the summer. And, that was another way that my food got much more out of whack than I would have hoped, because there was not a dining hall where I was getting regular meals or, eating with other dancers. I was very isolated in my food choices, making very poor choices, going back and forth between restricting and overeating or binging. And it was an ongoing struggle, made worse by the stress of this whole summer intensive experience. I bring up this story in case any of you are going to be going to a summer intensive with the hope of being offered a job from that experience. I want you to really think about where your head is at as you gear up to go and while you're there. In some ways, in the studio, I felt like I was stepping up and stepping forward. And one example was when we were working on choreography with one of the guest teachers. He was choreographing on my level, and he said something like, just sort of improvise so I can get some ideas for where to go next with this choreography. And everyone else kind of just stood there, but I was like, okay, I have to step up and get out of my comfort zone and make sure that I'm showing them I'm capable. So I did it, and he actually gave me some props. He was like, this is why it's helpful to have some additional dance experience. He alluded to the value of college, which I don't believe all dancers have to go through a college dance program, but that was part of why I felt more comfortable coming up with something improvisational in that instance because I had college experiences where that sort of thing was expected of us. And so there were some ways where I felt quite confident, and then other ways not at all. And comparison is always a thing. And then at a summer intensive, you're surrounded by all different dancers. And if you're vying for a job, and you know that there are others in the room vying for the same job, it is going to lead to lots of comparison and lots of worry about how you're stacking up to those around you. So with all this underfueling and this poor body image stuff that I was dealing with in that scenario, my body was in a very stressed out place, and I had been chronically underfueling for many, many years. And in a partnering lift, I felt this awful pain in my ribs, and it turned out that I had bruised some ribs, and then it was like painful to breathe. I basically was out. I went and saw a doctor, and he was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be dancing right now. I was like, really? But couldn't I really keep dancing? He said, you could. It's going to hurt. I mean, I would tell you, you probably shouldn't be dancing right now. And I really needed someone to say that to me. Otherwise, I would have felt this need to push through and ignore the pain and probably damage myself further. But I was out then for the rest of the summer, and it was very hard to deal with because I still hadn't gotten another offer yet. So there was a ton of disappointment and feeling as if I had failed. And so I want to tell you, if you're going into one of those summer intensive experiences, do some thinking about it now. Think about what is actually within your control. That is a big thing for summer intensive success. We can't control how other people choose to judge us or assess us, unfortunately. And there will be teachers who you might encounter at summer intensives who bring in biases and who don't seem to give you the same attention or corrections or level of support that they give to other dancers. So there are going to be things like that we encounter that maybe you're not used to if your teachers at home are better at, spreading their attention or making sure everyone feels seen. So you have to be ready for that possibility. And it is so important to go in with a plan and what I say is a vision. So I want you to sit down and do some writing. This is my vision for this summer intensive, and write down the details. So let's talk about creating a vision for your summer intensive. You want this to be something that you write down, that you really are dreaming and thinking about what's possible, and that you write in the present tense. So I walk to the front of the studio, and I am the dancer who's ready to demonstrate. I'm the dancer who's working hard at the back of the studio. I show up and have a good attitude and a strong work ethic. I honor my body. I fuel my body adequately. Think about all the ways you want to show up for this intensive. What you want to happen if you're looking to get a pre-professional spot in their school, or if you hope to get into their second company, or if you're looking for a company offer. Make all of those things part of your vision. Sometimes it feels scary to put those kinds of goals into this sort of writing because it's like, what if it doesn't happen? Well, when you put those words together, it puts you in a place of possibility. It can allow you to stay in a place of optimism. You're going to be able to come back to those things written in your vision that allow you to show up at your best, they allow you to work hard, and they allow you to take the most out of the intensive, whatever the outcome turns out to be. I'll just add this little piece of career advice for dancers. Even though Orlando Ballet didn't work out for me that summer, I did get an offer for a job at the end of that summer. Actually, it was much later than I ever thought people were offering jobs, and I got a call. And I think that we have to remember that things are going to work out as long as you keep taking these steps forward, or they at least have the potential to work out as long as you keep taking these steps forward. We don't always get things to work out exactly the way we imagine they should, or exactly the way we hope that they should. But if your goal is to dance and you're going to keep taking steps forward and you're committed, that is going to really help it to come to fruition, even if it looks differently than what your original vision looks like. Everyone's vision should include fueling yourself adequately and with a great variety of foods. If you're going to be dancing more at an intensive than you typically do, then yes, your body will need more food. You may need more snacks. Make sure you have options back at your room in case dining hall hours are limited. If you're cooking for yourself over this summer, make sure that you've practiced some recipes, or make sure that you bring a lot of variety and easy options into your living space so that that's not a stressful thing for you either. You have to make sure there's some planning around the food so that it stays consistent, so that you don't have periods of time where your energy is waning, so that you're giving your body all the consistent fuel that it needs and giving it what it needs to recover as well. So prior to dancing, make sure you're getting a good amount of carbs in. Post dancing, make sure you're getting a good amount of protein in, but know that you're not limiting those macros to those times. Incorporate those foods throughout the day. Have dietary fat anytime you need something to sustain you for a bit longer. It gives it a little bit slower release, right? Slower released energy, more consistent over time. Variety is key to make sure you're getting in all the nutrients you need. If you take supplements at home, make sure you bring them with you to your intensive, and make sure you're ready to show up with energy and you're not changing your food drastically from the way you eat at home, except for potentially eating a good amount more to make sure you're getting in all the energy that you need during that time. Try to be as present as you can and stay in the moment. So this vision writing exercise is your opportunity to look to the future, to imagine how you would like it to go. But then once you're actually there, stay present in your classes. What are you doing in order to advance as much as you possibly can and to improve as much as you can? What are you doing to stay in attention in these different classes? How are you making sure that you soak it in and enjoy the moments? Ask yourself, what am I loving about this situation? You can also ask yourself, what is feeling more challenging about being in this particular situation? But regardless, you want to make sure that you stay present in the moment. If you feel that your mind is wandering forward to like the possibility of a job or possibility of the pre-pro program, remind yourself to stay in that moment, in that class, tune into your body, tune into your dancing, and bring your mind back to how you're going to perform your best for that particular day and that particular moment, right? We can't think our way into better work in the future. We have to stay in the moment in order to do our best work now, and that's going to enhance your work moving forward. And then finally, try to just release the pressure and focus on what you can control, which does come back to fueling yourself adequately. It comes back to doing some mindset work around body image, what you're seeing in the mirror, if that's distracting you from being present in class. That's working as hard as you possibly can and taking care of your body outside of class. Some things I remember doing, and I mean, this depends on the summer intensive too. Sometimes they take you out doing sightseeing things or tons of walking. I do remember some intensives teachers being like, don't walk around all weekend because you need to give your body a chance to recover, but I don't think I listened to that advice. Whatever your goal is with this summer intensive, I would say make sure that you are resting on your days off and you're not just go, go, go literally the entire time, because you will need that day or two, depending on what they give you, of recovery from all those classes during the week. So stay mindful of that. Practice the self-care stuff. You know, if you are going to go somewhere, maybe go to a mall and get a face mask or something self-care related that you can do with friends, just chilling out in your rooms. But think of the ways that you're going to find that balance for yourself while you're at intensive in order to do your best dancing when you're actually in the studio. You don't get to control who they choose for pre-professional program. You don't get to control who they choose for company spots. You can only control your own work, your own mindset, your own willingness to show up and dance full out and do your best and enjoy the moment. If you're worried about what's coming next for you after your summer intensive, because there is a pre-professional or company spot connected as a possibility, think about what your backup plan is. This is something I do with audition coaching clients where we talk about, what is my training plan if I don't get into a company? What is a next step that I can feel good about, that gets me excited, that sort of takes the pressure off of this particular option? And know that if you've not heard back from every company you've auditioned for or every school you've auditioned for, some of them are still making those decisions. And like I said, my job came through at the very end of the summer, literally a few days before the season started, and that still happens. So we never really know. And I want you to stay open to all the possibility that lays before you. Have an amazing summer intensive. If you want to have some coaching around your mindset for summer intensive, around your fuel plan, I'm offering complimentary coaching calls. I'll link to them below in these notes. And I would love you to comment here and let me know what your biggest takeaway was as you prepare for your summer intensive. Give this video a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll connect with you next time.